A Channel 2 Action News investigation found people making six-figure salaries living in taxpayer-subsidized housing right here in Georgia. Channel 2's Justin Gray exclusively tracked down government records that show us exactly where they are. Justin's live in Washington right now, but Justin, you found several Georgia families living in low-income housing, but they're making more than $100,000 a year.
And Jovita, we found it happening in one small Georgia town more than any place else in the state, so we went there to ask the people in charge why. For Lisa Morrow, a single mom to a young son with Down syndrome, an affordable apartment in public housing is life-changing.
I wouldn't be able to live nowhere else.
That's the goal of public housing, but a federal audit found the reality is more than 25,000 people nationwide living in low-income housing, even though they aren't low-income.
People should step up and do something about it.
The catch? Families only have to meet HUD's income requirements to get in an apartment. Once they're in, regardless of changes to their income. We filed an open records request for families making too much money in public housing in Georgia. This is Somerville, population 4,400. The tiny town tops the list in Georgia with 26 over-income families. More here than the city of Atlanta, with a population 100 times larger. Why would a city of 4,000 people have so many more of these over-income residents than a city of 500,000?
I really can't answer that, Justin.
But take a look at the numbers we obtained from HUD for 2014. Families living in Somerville public housing making $84,000, $86,000, $87,000, even $139,000 a year.
It's like they're probably laughing at us, you know.
It's frustrating that somebody's just on easy street like that.
They will be ashamed of themselves. They really should.
For Lisa Morrow, the answer is easy.
Kick them out.
But the head of the Somerville Housing Authority, Regina Anderson, says that's not her office's policy.
They've made it their home, and they like their neighborhood and like where they live, and so we just let them stay.
We wanted to know who it is that's living in these homes and making those high salaries. We asked the Housing Authority that. We even filed an open records request, but they refused to give the names, citing privacy rules. We do know there's a long list of poor families here waiting for an apartment.
We have 65 on our waiting list right now.
But Anderson says she won't make room by evicting the families making the big salaries.
There's no regulation that we have to make them move, so we just let them stay.
In fact, Anderson told me her hands are tied by law.
Well, we have to go by that federal regulation.
But we checked that federal regulation, and it does give Anderson the power to evict high-income residents. It has for years. HUD even sent this letter to every housing authority in the country in September, encouraging them to, quote, remove extremely over-income families from public housing. But even with that directive from Washington, it's not happening yet here in Somerville.
They're happy where they are.
Don't you think, though, that one of these mothers, working mothers who needs a place, would be happy there too?
I'm sure they would.
Anderson tells me her most recent 2015 numbers no longer show anyone making a six-figure income living there in Somerville public housing. She says that family making $139,000 a year just recently moved out. Reporting live in Washington, Justin Gray, Channel 2 Action News.
And Justin, what about the federal government? What's the next step with the government?
Well, Jovita, originally the federal government had an answer very similar to Ms. Anderson's. They said this was a good policy, that it encouraged people to do better, to work hard. They were good role models for other public housing residents. They've changed their tune. They sent that letter to every housing authority in the state, encouraging them to remove these folks. As for Somerville, we asked about that letter, whether that's going to change their policies. We didn't get any sort of response.
All right, even with that wait list, Justin, thank you.